In this video, we are going to discuss about the quadratic equations. The basics of quadratic equation was introduced to you in your previous classes. Let us recall the concept of what is a quadratic equation. There is a very generalized formula for quadratic equation. It is ax square plus bx plus c. Okay. This is in standard form of quadratic equation. Why it is quadratic? Because the degree of the variable is 2, right? This is the degree of variable, which is a 2, and 2 stands for quadratic. Okay. Here a and b are the coefficients. A is the coefficient of x square, b is the coefficient of x, and c is a constant. This is the standard form. This is a standard form for any quadratic equation. Like if you have to check whether the equation is quadratic or not, it must satisfy this standard form. Now, in this video, we are going to discuss about the roots or solutions of a quadratic equation. Like if you have to find the value of this variable x for any quadratic equation, how you are going to solve the equation. So basically there are three methods to solve any quadratic equation. The first is the middle term splitting. Second is completing the square. The third one is the quadratic formula. The middle term splitting was introduced to you in class 9th in polynomial section, where you were given all the details of this method. So let us recall this method through an example, and then we'll move forward to other two methods. So let us understand the three methods by using an example. I will be solving the quadratic equation with all the three methods. Okay. So let us take an example. Let it be let it be 3x square minus 5x plus 2 is equals to 0. This is your quadratic equation. You have to find the roots of these equations. That is the middle term splitting. On the screen we are having a equation that is 3x square minus 5x plus 2. This is your quadratic equation. You have to do the middle term splitting to find the roots. So the very first thing you do is you have to split this into two factors, that is a and b. Let these two factors be a and b, right? Though now I will multiply the x square with the constant. See, it's 3x square is multiplied with 2, you get 6x square, right? And now we have minus 5x, right? You have to find two roots such that if you multiply these two, you will get the answer as 6x square. And if you add or subtract these two, you will get the answer as minus 5x, right? You have to think about these two roots. Okay. So the two roots are 2x and 3x, right? But here it is negative. So these two should be in the negative form, right? Now you just have to put these two, you have to just break this minus 5 into these two factors. Okay, you have to just split this middle term in these two factors, right? Now what you have to do is 3x square minus 5x plus 2. You got these two factors. Now you have to just write it down. 3x square, it should be minus 2x and minus 3x. By adding these two, you will get minus 5x, and by multiplication, you will get it as 6x square, right? Now you will rearrange this so that you can find the commons, right? Here you can write it as 3x, right? Here will be x minus, it should be x minus 1, right? Here you can take out minus 2 is common. Now you can write it at x minus 1, and here it is 0. Now take x minus 1 as 1 common, right? X minus 1 and 3x minus 2. This is equals to 0. So the two roots are x is 1 and x is equals to 2 by 3. So these are your two roots which you got through middle term splitting. You have to split this middle term into two factors such that their multiplication should be equals to 6x square, right? By multiplying the coefficient, multiplying the x square and the constant. And second you have to do is you have to see the addition or subtraction should be equals to the middle term. So this is your middle term splitting. Now let us move forward and see the second method, and the second method is completing the square. Now square. For understanding this method you have to understand an identity first. That is an algebraic identity, right? What it says x plus a square, right? If a is a constant, how you can expand it as x square plus 2xa plus a square, right? And if it is negative x minus a square, right, you'll write it as x square minus 2xa plus a square. Okay, so these are the two identities which will be used to solve the completing the square problem. I am taking the same question which we have taken earlier to solve using middle term splitting. It is 3x square minus 5x plus 2 is equal to 0. See, this equation is somewhat similar to this equation, right? Okay, that's why we are going to use this form. We have to change it into this form so that I can write it into the completing square, complete square. Okay, you have to change it, this equation, into this form, right? So this is the very first mindset to solve such questions, right? You have to change this standard form of equation into this one so that you can write it into a complete square form. So see, this 3 coefficient is not a perfect square, right? 3 is not a perfect square. So the very first thing you have to do is you have to make the coefficient of x square as perfect square. For this you have to multiply the whole equation with 3, right? So this is your equation number 1. The first step is to make it into a perfect square. If it is a square then it's okay, but it's not, then you have to multiply first with 3 to make it into a perfect square. It changes as 9x square minus 15x plus 6 is equal to 0, right? See, this is your equation number 2. Now this equation consists of this term and this one. Now see, this 6 is not a perfect square. Okay, so this 6 is not a perfect square, so you have to make it in a format such that it comes out to be as this equation, right? You have to keep in mind this form. Okay, so your x here is 3x, right? Because 3x is squared and you get as 9x square. So this, you know, this x is 3x. Now your 2xa, right? Your 2xa is equals to 15x, right? You can see it here, right? Now what is the value of this a? What is going to be the value of this a? We don't know. We have to calculate this a. How? You will put the value of x as 3x, right? And you will keep it as a, and here you have 15x. Okay, now your a comes out as 15x is divided with 2 into 3x, right? It comes out to be as 5 by 2. Okay, your a should be 5 by 2. Okay, but your a here is 6, right? Your a here is 6. You have to change it into 5 by 2 to get the answer, but here it is not 5 by 2. So to change it into the standard identity, what I am going to do is I am going to multiply second equation with the a square, not with the a square, right? If you multiply it with a square, you can change it into x minus a whole square. Now you can write it as 9x square minus 15x plus 5 by 2 whole square, and similarly you will subtract 5 by 2. Okay, you can't just add anything of your choice. You have to add and you have to subtract so that your basic question doesn't change. Okay, you can't change the question, so you are adding and you are subtracting so that their effect will be 0, right? Plus 6, it's 0, right? Now see, this is your x square minus 2x a plus a square, this one, right? This one. Now you can write it as 3x minus 5 by 2 whole square. You can write it as this. Yes, you can write it because this is an expansion of this equation only, right? Now you have to solve this part, this constant one. It is 25 by 4 plus 6. It's 0, right? Now you can write it as 3x minus 5 by 2 whole square, and this is equals to, now you can solve it, right? How you will solve this part? This one, right? You will take 4 as common as LCM, minus 25 plus 24. It is minus 1 by 4. Okay, and this minus is taken here, so this will be equal to 1 by 4 c, right? Now what you have to do is, if you will see this, you will take the square root, right? You will take the square root. Now for square root, we know this is equal to positive 1 by 2 or negative 1 by 2, because this, if you take the square root, this 1 by 4 is the square of 1 by 2 as well as minus 1 by 2. So the very first time you will take it as plus 1 by 2, and the second time you will take it as minus 1 by 2, and then you can calculate the value of x. Okay, so your x comes out as 1 and your second x comes out as 2 by 3, right? You have to take first as 1 by 2 and then negative as minus 1 by 2. So this was your completing square method. Now we are left with only one method, that is the basic quadratic formula. Now the quadratic formula is very simple. You just have to put all the values in the quadratic equation. Okay, you have to just put the values from the quadratic equation to the quadratic formula and you will simply get the value of roots, right? Now if you have to calculate the value of x, it is ax square plus bx plus c, and it's equal to 0. This is your standard form. Now what you have to do, if you have to calculate the value of x, right? What is going to be the value of x? Since it is a quadratic equation, there will be two roots. We know that, right? So what is the formula? The formula is minus b plus minus under root of b square minus 4ac and it is whole divided with 2a. Okay, so this is in standard formula. You have to just memorize this one, okay, so that you can solve all the problems of quadratic equation. To calculate the value of x, you have to just put the values and get the answer. Okay, so the question which we were solving is 3x square, right, minus 5x plus 2 equals to 0, right? So what is the value of x? Minus b. Okay, b is already minus, so you have to write it as minus 5, right, plus minus under root b square, right, b square. Okay, it's 25 minus 4, a is 3 and c is 2 divided with 2a, right? Now it is equals to minus 5 plus, okay, I'm taking plus here, it is 324, so it is under root of 1. Okay, so you have to take plus 1, it is equals to 6, right? So it comes out as minus 4 by 6, so it's minus 2 by 3, right? So it is basically minus 2 by 3. See here, sorry for the mistake, here it was minus and minus, so it's going to be the plus. Okay, so if it changes plus, so it would be 6, right, and 6 by 6 you get the answer as, it's not 2 by 3, it has to be 1. Okay, so this is your answer. And if you put it as negative, right, you have to take positive as well as negative, and here you put it as 6, so it will change into 4 by 6, right? So the answer is 2 by 3. So you get the roots by just putting all the values of x into the, by putting all the values in the quadratic formula. You have to just remember this formula and you have to put the values. So this was the basic about the quadratic formula. Now to find the nature of roots, like your roots are going to be equal, unequal, or it will be a complex number. So to know that thing, there are some basic conditions that can be understood by knowing, if you know this value, right, this can be known as d, right? If you know this d, right, if you calculate this d, by calculating this d you can easily say what are going to be the nature of roots. Okay, this nature of root topics is somewhat a topic which can be easily understood if you know the square minus 4ac. So there are certain conditions. If this d is greater than 0, then there will be two real solution. If this d is equals to 0, there will be one solution, and if this d is less than 0, it is going to give you the complex solution. So this completes your quadratic equation. Thank you for watching.